I'm kind of curious as to what we combined. I haven't seen your list, and you haven't seen mine from what I understand. So I'm kind of curious because just a reminder, we did this back in January, about a month ago, and Christian Pulisic was on the top of our list. He was both our number ones, and I get the sense he might not even be in the top 5. Now the only criteria is current form.
Yeah.
So that's very important to take into consideration here. And obviously MLS guys might, because they're not playing right now, would fall off. However, we had a couple MLS guys play well during the window. So do you want to start us off? I don't even know where we go. Are we going number 10? Or Des, what are we doing here?
Okay.
Ooh, number 10. All right.
Is this you, Jimmy?
I didn't write Matt Turner in the 9. That's you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's me. Matt Turner, number 10, just because of the fact that he stepped up, considering the fact that he got his move to Arsenal, which I think is a great thing. He still got 6 points, got 2 wins, had to play all 3 games.
Right.
Obviously not a great game against Canada, but still worth mentioning in terms of the fact that he got 2 shutouts, right? And there's some value in that, granted against teams that didn't have a lot of opportunities and things like that. But yeah, I'm going with Matt Turner at my number 10. Yeah, just it's I was going through some stuff, Jimmy, and if it's based on recent form, like I can't just hold Matt Turner against Canada, but can't give him the 2 shutouts, which he's becoming known for in the national team for his shutouts, without some credit to that as well.
No, that's fair. I don't think either Honduras or El Salvador had a shot on goal, but okay. I went with Jordan PEFOK in the number 10 spot just because 2 goals on the weekend. I think he's got 14 goals in 19 games so far in the Swiss League. I think he's knocking on the door to get called back in. Will he get that opportunity? Even though, as someone correctly suggested in the chat, he's not like the high presser, high energy type guy that I think Greg Berhalter likes. And so that is interesting. But I do feel like we've talked about this before. It's important to have some contrasting players in your team that can actually solve a couple problems for you. If you do have teams in a low block, okay, if they're going to give us a space out wide, who can get on the end of crosses? He might not need to start the game, but can he come on in the last 15, 20 minutes? We saw him do it against Honduras in the Nations League semifinal. He scored a header, in like the 85th or later minute to win that one for us to book our ticket to the final. He's got that capability, and I feel like it'd be a bit naive and foolish if we just said, nah, he's not for us, even though to what Charlie was saying before, and you as well, it's important to be playing regularly and building up that confidence. So I had him at number 10, just as a nod to that.
Okay, so well let's see if we can have Des throw up the list, and we'll go through it some more.
Okay. Number 9.
Okay.
KELLYN Acosta. I didn't have him in my top 10. I feel bad now.
Yeah. I had KELLYN Acosta. Again, this was on recent form, just the fact that he stepped up to the occasion. And I've been highly critical of KELLYN Acosta, even suggesting that he might be one of the players left off the roster just because he didn't have that multidimensional capability. But when we talk about the fact that we hadn't scored in a set piece in qualifying so far, and the fact that he provided those set pieces for us to score on, and having a little bit of that X factor and ability to score goals, I think is super important to have in a team, whether it's for 20 minutes or for 90 minutes when he's got to fill in. The fact that anytime we were in and around the goal, granted against a team that was really bad, but he was still putting the ball, take the team out of it, he was still putting the ball in really dangerous places that against anyone, like that goal to Weston McKennie, I just don't see how anybody stops that, right? The header itself doesn't get saved by a goalkeeper, the ball into that good spot on the near post, and having somebody that has that, because I think we've really struggled to be dangerous on set pieces. He made my list.
Okay. No, I like that shout. I didn't have him in my top 10, and I kind of feel bad about it. And we're going to reveal both of our lists at the end so you guys can compare and contrast as to where everybody was.
Do you like KELLYN Acosta on that?
I do, because I think very similar to what I said about Jordan PEFOK, he does give us something a little bit different. He does provide some cover. He also has stepped up and said, I'm going to be a difference on set pieces, when that was something that Christian Pulisic in particular.
Yeah, Ozzy Torres says Acosta is a difference maker. I like that.
Yeah, he was. He was a difference maker in a game that we needed to win. We couldn't mess around against Honduras, even though we were hoping they would come out the way that they did. We hadn't scored early in the first half. We hadn't scored on a set piece. We kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone in that one particular play. And I think the guys that came in against that Honduras game were up for it. And I think him having as much experience as he has, especially playing under Greg, I think was a pretty vital reason as to why that was happening. So I like that shot. All right, let's go to number 8. Number 8, Serginho Dest. So I'll go here. I had Dest a little bit higher because, to what Charlie said a little bit earlier about Dest, I did like some of his defensive plays. I did like his positioning. I thought he was
my list, Jimmy, by the way, and I feel a little bit bad about it because recently he was very good.
He was good, and I thought that he was a little bit more patient in his defending. And I think obviously, as you know, as an outside back yourself, good starting positions solve a lot of problems. And I thought he put himself in a position to make plays and to pick his spots. I think you and I both talked about after the El Salvador game, the first game of the window, that he was joining the attack in a more thoughtful way. It wasn't just, I'm going to go every time. He started to pick his spots. He let the game develop and then join in. Is that something that Xavi is putting into him at Barcelona? More stuff to think through that Ronald Koeman wasn't, or maybe just Xavi paying more attention to him, or whatever it may be. I don't know, but you can sense there's a little bit more savvy in how he's approaching both sides of the ball. So I like Serginho Dest. He was higher up, and he got in as a sub against Atletico Madrid this past weekend, and a very big win for Barcelona, 4-2. So yeah, I'm curious. Now, obviously, he's going to stay with Barcelona the rest of the year. It doesn't help that Dani Alves is banging in goals and getting assists as well. But
he's also getting sent off, so he'll get his
minutes.
That's true.
That's true. Now with Alves getting a red card, maybe Dest will get some more minutes in the upcoming. But I like Dest on the list.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Dest is a good shout, and definitely one that, another one like Acosta that I've been highly critical of, and we've been highly critical of. But credit is credit.
You think? No, do you think that Adama Traore is a good or bad thing for Dest? I mean, because Adama Traore clearly a winger, and so I don't. You know, they were playing Dest at winger both under Koeman and Xavi for some time, and now it seems like they're going to definitely push him out as either a wing back if they play three in the back, or he's going to be the outside back. I don't know if he was really a like for like comparison, but I can understand why producer Des is asking us that, because Traore basically eliminates him from having that kind of spot on the field, and so does Ferran Torres and anybody else that plays winger.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, but the upside, Jimmy, is as I mentioned in yesterday's recap pod, is that 3 of the 4 goals came from defenders. So maybe there's a respect for defenders in that Barcelona game. But I'm not sure where he fits best. But certainly, as you bring in more reinforcements, the less freedom they have to go, oh, we could use him here, we could use him here, because you're going to get position-specific players. So I think that hurts more than it helps. Yeah. Okay,
let's go to number 7. Who's number 7 on our list? Jordan PEFOK. You must have had him high up your list. I had him at number 10.
Yeah, I think I don't think I had him too high, but go ahead, Jimmy, with your take.
No, my take was what I said earlier, that I just feel like there's a reason why he should be considered for the team, and ultimately I think he's competing against a Greg favorite and Jossie Zardes, who maybe in some ways provides something similar. Though I think Zardes will probably press a little bit more, just looks to do that a little bit more than maybe Jordan does. I don't understand why he's not getting called in. Daryl Dike would be another player that I think gives us a different look, a different feel, maybe makes us a little different in terms of how we approach the game, if the way that we want to play isn't working. And I hope that Jordan PEFOK gets another look. I don't know if it's going to be. So here's the thing I want to add to everybody. I don't know if Greg's going to make any fundamental changes to his roster ahead of these next games, this next window. It might be too big of a risk for him, but maybe outside of Gio Reyna coming back into the fold, I just don't know if we're going to see a DK or a Scally or a PEFOK coming back in, or even a Brooks. But during the summer, once we qualify, and I hope we qualify, we're going to qualify. I'm going to stay positive here. There are going to be a lot of games and a lot of friendlies leading up to that. And of course, current form. Now, I want to remind everybody ahead of the 2010 World Cup, which Heath can speak to, Herculez Gomez came out of nowhere and led the Mexican League in scoring. And it became so undeniable that, like, yeah, we got to bring him, that Bob took him. Edson Buddle was playing very well for his club as well. And Bob was like, yeah, we got to bring these guys, because they're playing so well. So a couple players on this 23-man roster that go to Qatar are going to be brought in because of current form.
Yeah, I agree. And PEFOK's won 13 goals in 19 games, scoring also in Champions League. He's a player that I think, more than the fact that the form that he's in now, is going to get a move that's going to validate him in the national team come summer. I think he's going to get a move to a bigger club, and I hope that he kicks off at that bigger club in great form as well, because then, like you said, you force your way into the national team for this. Because, again, 23, when you get past 18 in the roster, you're looking for those guys that might be that gut instinct of, oh, I'm going to throw them in to see what can happen. We saw the thing that should have been the win against Belgium with Wondolowski on the back post as bread and butter. Those are the types of moments. Obviously didn't convert on that, but you see those types of things where you throw them in because you go, man, got nothing to lose here. Let's throw them in and see what can happen. And I think PEFOK or other players that are in peak form get those last couple of spots in the national team.
Yeah. We're speaking the same language. All right, let's go to number 6 here. Antonee Robinson obviously scored the game winner against El Salvador. Been playing very well for Fulham. I think probably thankfully for him, he didn't play this past weekend against Man City in the FA Cup. Tim Ream did not look so great in that particular game. So it didn't need more of a bloodbath for our American players. But this is the one player that I feel should be on this list. And my one concern is when I look back, I watched a little bit of the Canada game again. He finds himself in good spots, but he's not a great crosser of the ball. It's not like we can rely on him to hit a deep cross. And it's got that, that whipping ball back post that's in between the goalkeeper and the center backs. And, Harry Kane, I think, just scored one, or he's very good at finding that space and finishing them. I don't know why I thought of Harry Kane in that particular moment, but we don't have that. I don't even know if we have it on either side, but if Anthony Robinson could get that in his game, he almost becomes, you can't defend him. He's undefendable.
Yeah, I also think that he was sometimes just dumping that ball because there weren't a lot of people in the box when he was trying to whip it in against Canada anyway. But my biggest worry with him is his balance of going forward. He tends to go forward and spring forward, anticipating plays that sometimes don't get to him and leaves us a little bit vulnerable. I've talked about that before. If he can pick and choose his moments, because he's got the speed and power to be able to get up and back all game long. I just want to see it in the build-up play. I want to see that natural where you see that player release because you feel the rhythm of it. It's saying in back and it's going to go out the other side. You release and not have his starting positions be too high, because against good teams, again, 1, 2, 3 passes and you can get beat if there's a loss in possession. And you're just putting a lot on your players around you when you cheat forward to have to keep possession every single time. And against the best opponents in the world, you get beat that way.
Yeah, 100%. And we almost got punished by El Salvador when they countered us because him and DEST were up at the same time when he didn't have any business being up. So hopefully the coaching staff has addressed that with him. All right, everybody, hit like and subscribe, please, as we get to our number 5 in the rankings, YUNUS Musah, and leave us a comment. We got to make sure that we're continuing to build a really special show for you. We need all the support that we can get. All right, YUNUS Musah, Valencia winger, one of our favorite players. I'll speak for Heath as well. In the player pool, we think his future is so incredibly bright. His passing is only going to get better, I think, as he continues to get a little bit older. He loves to break the lines, especially with his running, which was what Charlie Davies, our special guest, came on and said before, that he thinks that YUNUS Musah should play a little bit higher up the field. And what happens to him when Gio Reyna comes back, because Gio Reyna just got minutes for Borussia Dortmund and their devastating 5-2 loss at home to Bayer Leverkusen. We don't need to get into that particular game. But YUNUS Musah, Heath, Pearce, what are your thoughts on this young American?
I don't know. I mean, he definitely made my list. I don't remember exactly where I put him. I'll bring it up here in a second, but I had him high on my list just because I think it might have been like 1, 2, or 3, just because of the fact of the quality of player that he is. I think he's just got this dynamic of a type of player I don't think the U.S. has ever had in terms of his comfort, his power, his explosive nature on the ball, his willingness to have a player on his back, his willingness to face up on a player. He's just got all of these little tools that help him to get out of problems in the middle of the field. And I agree with Charlie that, maybe you get him higher up the field into places that has more of a threat to goal scoring. But the way that he solves things individually for us, I think, is unbelievable. And even when he's not having his best game, I still look at the team sheet and go, okay, he's got to be one of my guys that I start every time because he just wants the ball. Again, I don't think he's great when he's got to come back and be sort of a double pivot on a 6 because he's less useful. But he does solve a lot of problems for us. He's comfortable with long switches. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. He makes good runs off the ball. And just all those things, I just go, man, he's so young that the future is bright. But even now in this current form and the fact that he's playing again with Valencia consistently, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I love YUNUS Musah. I do obviously think he's raw in some areas, and even his coach at Valencia, Bordalas, has said the same thing, but experience is what is going to help him get that. The repetition of seeing plays, seeing different situations, whether it's for club or country, is going to help him get there a little bit sooner. So I hope that he gets as many minutes as humanly possible for Valencia, because that only helps our national team. I had him a little bit lower down the list because when he didn't play, we played pretty well. I thought De La Torre came in against Honduras and did well when Musah wasn't in. And so that's why I had him down.
Well,
a little
Jimmy,
bit
you got to
lower.
look him in the eyes and tell him that someday. So I don't.
We're going to have to face up to all these guys at some point.
I know. We're going to be either loved or hated by, right down the middle, I hope.
Let's go to number 4. Tyler Adams, unfortunately, got hurt against Canada, didn't play against Honduras, but his value obviously is immense. I loved what he did, these little things for El Salvador, where he would track in behind our outside backs, so it wouldn't allow our center backs to get stretched out. Tyler Adams would do a lot of that thankless running to track players into those areas. Save one play in particular where he tracked the midfielder into the attacking third behind the center backs because he recognized the danger. And I think that's what I appreciate about Tyler Adams the most, is his awareness and knowing that, oh shit, this could be a really dangerous situation. I'm just going to go do the work. Because if I can see that somebody else isn't reading it or they're occupied with somebody else, I'm just going to go do it. It's not a lot of finger pointing, even though he's a good communicator and getting people in good spots. I just think he's invaluable to our team. And I know that KELLYN Acosta made the list as well and proved his worth in a lot of different ways. And I do think that Tyler Adams has to clean up his passing a little bit. And I think the best way to do that, if we were teammates with him, Heath, I really feel like we'd pull Tyler and say, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be the guy that is driving the game forward,
Well, that's
covering
what's
for
made
everybody
Zimmerman
from
so
side to
good.
side.
Is that simplicity to his
Right.
game.
I agree with you.
You don't. I know we want to have long range passers. We want to have guys that can play out. Like John Anthony Brooks is good at that, but you don't have to be. Just win your defensive battle. Do all those little things right. And by the way, the other thing I wanted to say on Tyler, which I like, and I hope that there's an emergence of this trend with other players, is I look at Tyler Adams and say when he's on the field, other players around him play better because he does a lot of that work, like you said, that allows them to be better. And I think about the same thing of like, hopefully Gio Reyna comes on and you go, okay, Gio Reyna makes other players around him better, you know, makes Ricardo Pepi a better player because he's more involved with him or more connected with him, or makes, whether he's playing at the 10 spot or in a wing position. And I think about Tyler Adams in that sense, that I think he makes the players around him better because it allows them to focus on doing other things well, instead of having to do more things less well, like focusing on small things. The game becomes predictable with him on the field.
Right. No, I love that. That's good insight. All right, let's move to our top 3. Number 3, Walker Zimmerman.
Oh, wow. You must have had him at 1 then, huh?
No, I did not. I had him at 5. Walker Zimmerman, number 3. We'll show you our individual lists here at the end of all this. This is our combined list. But Walker Zimmerman, I think why I put him up so high, he wasn't even in our top 10 back in January for obvious reasons, because it's current form and he wasn't playing all that much, obviously, just going into that camp and against Bosnia and not having any league form to go up against. But I thought we really noticed him not being on the field against Canada. The intangibles that he brings, not only playing simple, but just organizing people and in some ways similar to Tyler, elevating the performances of others around them because he's so good at what he does. They can just focus on what they need to do. And I think he's become a vital cog to our team, and his presence was missed. And I know there'll be another player above him that also benefited from not playing against Canada, because you're like, oh, wow, we really missed what he brought to the table. And obviously he scores against Honduras, and both times he started, we had clean sheets. I really feel like he's emerged as somebody that is going to be a really important piece for our defending moving forward.
Yeah, and just like I mentioned before, which is the exact reason why I had him. I think I had him 4 on my list, but he just makes the game predictable. It's easier. He doesn't try to do more than he's capable of. He doesn't use tools that he doesn't have in his tool belt. And that came to mind when I was watching the Cup of Nations final, African Cup of Nations final. You looked at teams like Senegal or Egypt, right? And you go, wow, they have some huge stars, but they also have some players that I've never heard of. And those players were the ones that I was noticing playing, just doing things well and doing things simply. And then you have your stars do the thing. And if you look at most of the teams around the world, whether it's Croatia going deep in World Cups or other smaller nations, it's not all superstars and they're not all 10s. There are some players in there that play simply. You're not going to be able to have the perfect player in every position. And he's one that just makes the team better with him on the field doing the simple things right.
Well, I'm going to actually bring up Natalie. She makes a great comment that LAFC fell apart when Walker left. And not only did they fall apart because their back line was a bit of a shambles after he left, he's become MLS Defender of the Year twice, 2 years in a row since he left LAFC, which really I think speaks to his value. And what a signing from Nashville. That's always a good way to build a team, through the spine of your team, especially.
Yeah, and he's good for goals offensively.
He is.
And big moments when games are tight, and that's what you're going to get.
And he just did it against Honduras as well.
Yeah, you're going to get these moments where he occupies a lot of space in the box. Things are tight. Things are chippy. You're not playing well. The team's playing really poorly. Put the ball into good spots, and you have people like that that can get you that win or get you back into a game when the team's not particularly dominating or playing well.
Now I'm sad I put him at 5. I feel like I should have definitely had him in my top 3.
I'm sending this to him right now.
You should. Great. Now I just texted him the other day to keep it up, and he's a sweetheart. All right, let's go to number 2. Timo Weah is number 2 on our list, and I'm going to use the same reasoning that I did against Walker, or for Walker, when we played against Canada. I really felt like because he wasn't eligible to play because of some vaccine protocol, it was unfortunate because we lacked a little of what he brought, getting to the end line, whipping balls in, being a little bit more dangerous, which I think would have put that left side of Canada under maybe a little bit more pressure, because as we've discussed, sometimes Aronson and Pulisic were on the field at the same time. They're really trying to occupy similar areas. Yes, they're on left and right sides, but sometimes they try to come too central. We don't have anybody that's given us that width or to potentially be a threat in behind, as we've seen Timo Weah do to great effect. So yeah, I think this is a well-deserved number 2 ranking from Timo Weah. His confidence continues to grow for us. And as we discussed with Charlie Davies, maybe he's a potential 9 for us at some point, so we can get another player, another midfielder potentially on the field, whether it's having a Gio Reyna be more central and Pulisic and Aronson out wide and team away up high. I mean, that's something I would look at. Maybe not now in these World Cup qualifiers because we kind of are who we are, and to tinker too much would be very Pep Guardiola of us in a big game.
Yeah.
But over the summer and friendlies, I wouldn't mind seeing team away in the 9th spot. But yeah, give me your thoughts about him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know about team away at the 9th spot, but the thing that I like about him and who I have at number 1 as well is just that drip, that sauce, that creativity. Now, my challenge for them is to do it when it's hard, not just when it's easy. Do it when it's not playing against the high school team. Do it when you're playing against, your rivals and the best team in the league. And again, I think team away rises to those occasions, but I want to see him. If you're going to put your foot on the ball, you're going to roll over, you're going to do your step overs, do that against everybody. Be that type of player. I'm happy if you're that type of player. Don't do it when you get space and you're up against a team that you're playing against that's slow and defeated and whatever. Do it all the time. And I think he's capable of that. And if we can get that out of him and mixing his game up and not just dribbling all the time or taking too many touches, like mix the game up, check back, play simple, do all those things that make you harder to actually defend and teams harder to play against. I want to see that with him. But yeah, overall, his form right now is just making the game so predictable. You see when he gets the ball and he puts his head down to dribble, 3-4 players go in the box every time. We don't have anybody else whose game is that predictable for us to create opportunities out of, whether they come to something or not. Again, he draws a lot of corners and whatever. When you're talking about KELLYN Acosta or having set piece specialists, those are the situations you want to be in, and he's creating those for this team right now.
No, it's a good shout. I like that one a lot. All right, let's get to our number 1 then. Pretty obvious, I'd say at this point. It's not Christian Pulisic. Yeah. It is Weston McKennie. Yes, the man, the myth, the legend, currently playing for Juventus, who looked fantastic against Hellas Verona this weekend when Vlahovic and Denis Zakaria both scored on their debuts. Weston McKennie came off the bench in that one, but he has been an incredible resource for us. I think he is undroppable at this point. He has to be in our starting 11. Not that there was any ever doubt outside of when he has some hijinks off the field in some team hotels, but he scored a big goal against Honduras. It took a lot of pressure off of us. We needed somebody to step up. We've talked before about him having this clutch gene. He almost had a big goal against Canada as well. Boron made a very good save in that one. And obviously that would have changed the complexion of that game, the fine margins as we discussed. But Weston McKennie, easy number 1, playing very, very well for club and country. I'm pretty sure we both had him at number 1. What are your thoughts on Weston?
Yeah, I had him at number 1 just because of the fact that, he had that dip in form. He had the situation with the team. He wasn't playing at times at Juventus. Juventus decided to keep him. They could have sold him. We saw 2 of those players go to Spurs, the club that he was linked with. My challenge is the same for him as it is for Weah, which is like you saw the combination play between them was borderline world-class in terms of slotting into tight spaces and in and out and thinking creatively. Like, let's say you do that against the biggest teams. Let's see you take those chances and have that courage to do that against the best teams in the world or the best teams in CONCACAF. Let's see that type of confidence, not just when it gets easy. And again, mixing up your game. I saw against Canada, he put his foot on the ball a number of times, tried to kind of have a little bit of that flavor that I like from him, but not always at the right times. They were at convenient times. And him, just like Tim Weah, have the ability to do that at the highest level. I want to see them do that consistently and do that in a way that's beneficial to the team and not just more about attitude or flexing and things like that. And so the 2 of them, I just love to see their combination play together. I love their attitudes. I love their energy. I love the confidence. I just want to see them do that consistently, and I can accept that time in and time out when they do it right. But yeah, just definitely this fearless leader for the team. And again, that X factor that you need where you got to keep him on the field because you're like, well, what if he gets his chance? He could be the one that wins it for you when it's late in the game and it's tight.
Okay, so let's go over the overall list again. Matt Turner was number 10. KELLYN Acosta 9. DEST 8. Jordan PEFOK 7. Antonee Robinson, A-Rob, Jedi 6. YUNUS Musah 5. Tyler Adams 4. Walker Zimmerman 3. Timo Weah 2. And number 1 was Weston McKennie. Now, that was our overall list. I'm going to read out my list, Heath, first.
Please do.
Okay. So I went with Jordan PEFOK, number 10. I had Christian Pulisic at number 9 because I felt bad because a month ago he was our number 1 player.
Nope.
And you didn't even put him on your top. He's not even in our top 10.
He's not in my top 10.
That's crazy. And I want you to explain yourself in a second. I had Musah 8. I had Brendan Aronson. I felt the same way. I was like, these guys were like in the top 5 last month, and now they're completely off the top 10. That's harsh, but that's the way the world works, I suppose. I had A-Rob at number 6, Zimmerman at 5, Dest at 4. I was really impressed with Dest on both sides of the ball, so I want to give him some love there. Adams 3, Weah 2, McKennie number 1.
I like that. I mean, just for my 10 as a preface, The number 10 for me was George Bello, just because of the fact he made his debut in the Bundesliga. I think more competition for our fullback spots is better. I don't want anybody to ever feel comfortable. And the more you have somebody playing consistently at a regular club, they're fighting relegation. He'll become a better player for it. He'll have to defend a lot. Jordan PEFOK was number 9. Anthony Robinson, number 8. Matt Turner, 7. Tyler Adams 6. Kellyn Acosta, 5, just based on current form.
Wow.
Yeah, I just had to give Kellyn Acosta some respect, because I've been real hard on him. Walker Zimmerman at 4, Yunus Musah 3, Tim Weah 2, Weston McKennie 1. And by the way, on the Christian Pulisic one, I just don't see the form from him right now. You know,
I get it, but I couldn't go from number 1 last month. Like a month ago, we did a top 10 and he was 1, and now he's not even on the list. I was like, I don't want to be an a-hole.
Jimmy, if you go from a month ago to him not playing at all with his club team in that whole month, to him coming in and not really having an impact when we wanted him to at the biggest moments, that was the biggest thing for me versus against Honduras. But like, yeah, so he just sort of fell out, and I think it was an opportunity. I also had Sam Vines on my list because he's been playing consistently in Belgium. Another player that I think garners some attention that wasn't in the national team, but it's certainly in the pool. And so, I was trying to think through, like, what are some things I can be hopeful for based on current form that maybe weren't just based on the last couple of games with the national team, but our national team player pool guys as well, and not just give anybody free passes, because I think Pulisic could easily be number 1 on the list in a month from now again, based on where we're going to go outside of the national team.